Hey guys, hope you're enjoying your time at home. Thought maybe you guys missed seeing some sparks. Fortunately, they don't have a welder at home, but I got mine here. I got a Lincoln 210 MP. This machine here is a multi-process machine, so it does SMAW, GMAW, FCAW. It does DC TIG. So it does all those different things. It's meant for at home hobbyists, some fabrication, not the high industrial stuff that we tend to do at work. But I'll show you how this thing goes and some maintenance on that, and we'll take a look at a few other things here today. Then I'll do some videos with some actual welding shots coming up soon. So let's see how this one goes here. So this machine here, the Lincoln's 210 MP, very popular. Price points around $1,800, so it's pretty pretty manageable financially. So we fire this thing up here. You're gonna hear, if you come on in, you're gonna hear two. So we have twin cooling motors that are actually gonna kick in. It's got a pretty nice sound to it. I'll go to the home screen here. From the home screen, we can pick 230 volt because I have it plugged in with the 230 volts, so it knows it's already processing and understanding that point. So we can pick with C25 gas, and if you guys remember what that exactly means, it's 75% argon, 25% CO2. Then we can switch to pure CO2 gas. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you have that option. And then we come here to flux core. So if we're going to run flux core with gas, then that's fine. If we're going to run flux core self-shielded, then we know that we got to change our leads, and the machine will tell you as such. We have a spool gun mode here as well, and I'll show you where that hooks up. And we have our stick welding and DC TIG. So if I scroll back here, if we're going to set this thing up to do some welding, I'm going to select the C25 because I do have some shielding gas on the back side, and there it tells you exactly the breakdown. Press to continue. We get to select our wire diameter. I'm running 030 wire. Okay. Now with 030 wire, the most you can really set this for is for a 3/16 setting, so about 19.5 volts. After that, you got to bump up your wire size, so we're going to select that. And you can see it has a preset here for 19 volts, 330 inches per minute, and it's giving you all your parameters that you're running here. Okay. And I can also do a manual adjustment. You can see here as it's moving. I can stay within the green, and it's saying that I still have book value. Whoops, wrong button. I can still book value and run this up to 19.8 volts and about 375. Let's see where it hits red. So 380 is my top limit. So I'm going to hit right in the middle of both values. I can start off with 19 volts. But I can also press for other options that you guys may or may not know about. And we have here a run-in. A run-in is when we pull the trigger before it actually goes into sparking up to lighting the weld. We don't want to come out at our full 334 inches per minute. We're going to come out at 75% of that, which is probably running around 280. Right? So we can manually adjust that as well. I can also adjust for spot timer so that I can weld the same length all the time for doing stitch welding. And I can also hit inductance. Now, if you guys recall, inductance kind of gives you a different puddle fluidity. You can see there I have 7%, or number 7. And by that, what that means is the more inductance that I have in MIG welding, so only talking about MIG welding, I go back to this, that means I'm going to have a softer arc. Puddle is going to be very liquid, and if I scroll this down, the arc will be very crisp, so I'm really going to be hammering the plate. So I'm going to start off with this at about number 7, and we'll do a few welds, and we'll talk about that in just a minute when I switch up. Welcome back. It's the afternoon, so it's a bit warmer. I got my jacket off. So we finished off looking at the how this machine sets up, the Lincoln 210 MP. Now let's take a peek on the inside. So let's come take a look. So I got this smaller 11-pound spool, but Lincoln has its own little setup here. They have a tensioner for the wire, and they have these little plates. So you can see there, I'll show you what one looks up close up right away. You can see here, it actually eliminates bird nesting and the troubles of actually feeding your line. You just feed it through the back side right over here, and then it pulls it through. Now we have our drive roller on the inside matched up to 030 wire, and we have this side plate which goes with it, and you simply use these thumb screws to pull it off. And what that looks like is just over here on the table. If you take a peek, we have a side plate right here. So that'll go on, it'll match up, and you can see there's an avenue here for the wire to follow through. And we also have some different drive rolls that go with it. So there's only one actual drive roll. So this one's a Neuraltor flux core. This one's a small, tiny little VK, a V groove for 023, and I have an 030, 035 located in the machine right now. And as you guys read, so we did some work on consumables and nozzles. That was part of your article. I got 3 styles here. So I have the copper one that they talked about as well. So it's cheap, economical, better word for it. Most MIG guns are gonna come with that. This machine came with the nickel plated, so it's a little higher end. I still have the original one on there. This one's a brand new. This one necks down to about a 1/2 inch opening, and you can see there the 0.5 tell me that's a 1/2 inch opening. This one right here, that's actually not a nozzle. What that is if I grab the MIG gun and bring it over here, you can see that I screw this off, this nozzle, and if I put flux core in there, I'm actually want to protect my copper or brass. This one's a brass gas diffuser. Now I can do all the welding I want. Since we're using flux core without shielding gas, we don't actually need a nozzle to direct the flow, so it becomes obsolete. What we want to do is protect our threads and our gas holes so that we can do our welding, and then when we're done and we switch everything back and our contact tips, our gas diffuser is still the same, and we can go from there. So I thought for today, what I could do, let me grab this camera here from the little guy. So what we're gonna do is, here's my workstation. I'll show you around and I'll run some beads. I got a bit of an experiment we're gonna run here. So let's see if we can look around the shop. So I pulled out my bench that's normally in the corner. There's a giant cell phone. Wish you guys had one like that, don't you? So over here I got my milling machine. All right, milling machine, drill press. I got all kinds of stuff that look around here. You guys can take a peek. I got some more magnets, some switch ones that go on and off. And I got some stuff down low. Let's take a look over here. And there we got some Husqvarna stuff. They're not our sponsor, but I got that. Oh, there's a propane tank. All kinds of stuff going on down here. So this is where I do some work sometimes, as you guys can see. What else can I tell you about my workshop here? I got an oxy-fuel torch over there we're going to use right away. And so I'm going to pause it and set up right away and explain the experiment, and then we'll go from there.